And look at this beautiful spice rub. I'm gonna gently lay this down inside the pan, sauteing it so that both sides are nice and golden brown. And then I'll pop it in the oven to finish it up.
You'll notice I haven't used any eggs or breadcrumbs. The proteins will naturally bind when cooked. I'm gonna keep this seasoning simple. Just a little bit of salt, some pepper. Simple. I want to taste this elk. I don't want to hide any of the flavors. I want to taste it. I put all that work into getting it. I don't want to hide those flavors. I want to taste it.
Incredible finish. Is there anything simpler than cooking in one pan? Whole roasting this line-caught wild trout with all of these vegetables, for me, is the most perfect way to honor this incredible fish.
This is my first black bear. We're here hunting on public land, and let me tell you, this is a night I'm never gonna forget. What the old timers taught me, it came true tonight, and we got this beautiful, beautiful black bear.
Good evening and welcome to Surefire Wednesdays. I'm Chef Jonathan Collins.
I'm Bailey Collins.
My son Bailey, Dakota will be joining us in just a minute. We've got some really exciting recipes for you tonight, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of inspiration. This gorgeous setting alongside a river, and we've got a great giveaway tonight as well. This beautiful Lodge cast iron, it's a tripod, and we've got this incredible roaster. We're going to show you how to make kebabs later. But all you have to do to win this is during the broadcast, like the broadcast, share it, maybe tag a friend, and then tell us why you should get this incredible tool. We've been using this.
Oh yeah, we've been using it for a couple days. We roasted some chickens on here a couple of days ago, and they were absolutely gorgeous. They turned out definitely the most juicy chicken I've ever had, and they were just perfectly crispy. They were amazing.
So the great thing about cooking over an open fire or by fireside like this is you get the advantage of all of the flavor that comes from the wood. Now, whether you're using oak or hickory or whatever maple, whatever hardwood you have access to, the key is to get that fire started early. So anywhere from an hour to 2 in advance, you want a hot bed of coals. If you're planning to start a fire and use the flames to cook, what you're going to have is a lot of flare-ups and you're going to have a lot of uncontrolled heat. What we have beneath this tripod is a set of rocks. Now, Bailey's a bit of our fireside expert.
Yeah, I spent a lot of years building a lot of fireside stone campfires, I'll tell you that. This one took a little bit, but at the bottom of the fire, we took these little stones and put them in the bottom. Make sure they're not too smaller. When they heat up, they just kind of pop out at you, and it's not really safe. But if you get big enough rocks and set them on the bottom, that bed of coals, as my dad was saying, what you get is those stones heat up, and even when the coals die down a little bit, that stone radiates the heat through what you're cooking, and it helps out a lot.
So sometimes you don't have access to rocks, and that's okay. But the nice thing is, if you do have access to rocks, and speaking of rocks, here's another rock star, my son Dakota.
Stubborn is all.
Stubborn,
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Outdoor Chef Surefire Live. We're pumped tonight. We've got some amazing recipes, eh?
We do. So let's go over some of the recipes, and then we'll talk more about the fire. So go.
Yeah, we're going to do a smoky rum cider, and let me tell you, you may have seen earlier, what we're going to do is we're going to take some star anise, juniper berries, we're going to toss them in the fire, toast them up. Then we're gonna dump some rum right in that hot liquid, heat it up. All those spices are gonna marinate in there. Then we're actually gonna smoke a piece of barrel, wine barrel, right? And we're gonna toss that in there, coze it right up, and then it's gonna smoke, and you're gonna taste that smoke in that liquor, and then we're gonna pour that over some apple cider.
So Dakota's our resident mixologist. Bailey looks after the smart food.
Smart food, as you like to call it.
Yeah, it is.
I'm doing a roasted nut trail mix tonight. So basically, what started that is we went on our last hunting trip, and the one thing we wanted to take with us was a trail mix, but we couldn't find a decent trail mix anywhere.
There's a lot of sugar, a lot of additives. Yeah. So what we want is we want that pure protein from nuts and the good sugars.
Yeah, I'm also going to add a little bit of seeds to it. So I'm going to add flaxseed and chia seed to mine. And what that does is the flaxseed not only adds fiber and also protein, but also adds some of those omega-3s and kind of boosts that trail mix up and gives you a ton of energy when you're out there.
Energy, nutrition, and then it's time to cook. So we've got, now if you go back into some of our previous episodes, we did one of our most popular ones, was the Philly cheesesteak, where we use this venison. And I talked to you at the time about not having to thaw an entire venison roast. And so this is the other half of that venison roast. We thought the perfect thing for a campfire is something that's really simple. We're going to do fire roasted venison kebabs. And I'm going to show you a couple techniques, from skewering to prepping some of these veggies. And the big thing is going to be a quick marinade. Now the marinade is going to add a ton of flavor and get rid of some of that thing we all hear time and again, the gaminess. Yep. Now for me, honestly, the venison.
Yeah, I've yet to taste it, man.
Exactly. But the exciting thing is, this venison came from this very farm we're on right now.
Actually, about, I'd say probably a kilometer that way is where this venison went. This venison roast has come full circle.
Full circle, yeah. It went from field to freezer to riverside to fireside.
It went from field to in the river in the middle of winter that we had to drag out. Yeah. Then it went into
this river. So the key thing about Surefire Wednesdays is we want to hear from you. So this is such an incredible forum to be able to go live and to open up a conversation with you. And the conversation tonight can range from anything from bow hunting to what we're doing. We've got some really great footage to show you from our trail cameras. So it's early season scouting.
I mean, whitetail's coming up quick, guys. As you all know, you're getting in the field, you're training for elk, pronghorn, but I mean, we're training for whitetail too, right? I mean, we're getting in shape. We're about a month and a half out. We're getting trail cam setting up, patterning the deer, and pretty soon we'll be getting tree stands and everything set up as well.
And one of the great motivators for hunting, of course, is the thrill of the pursuit and the success that comes. But for me, it's literally every time something runs to the field, I think to myself, what would that taste like? And so that's what we're going to do tonight. So enough talk. I want to talk one more thing that we're going to do. We found these gorgeous Georgia peaches. Now, I love the state of Georgia. I want anybody watching from Georgia, I want you to throw me some hearts right now, because we love Georgia. My son got married there on Tybee Island. We've got some beautiful Georgia peaches, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little take on a peach cobbler. The difference is, rather than using a traditional topping, a traditional cobbler, we're going to put together a cornbread cobbler. So it's going to be cast iron peach cornbread cobbler. So let's start. It's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to get a little bit of this prep done. You can see we've got this beautiful roast. And literally all I'm going to do, I like to have nice big pieces. One of the things when you're making, look at that. Oh, look at that. That is absolutely. Okay, can we just stop now and throw this steak on? I mean, seriously. Ryan, are you looking at that, baby? Come on, man. So literally, we're going to take and slice this up. Now, one of the things about kebabs where we go wrong sometimes is not making sure everything is the same size. So if I got a little wee piece of so let's say deer, and big chunks of like potato, and then little pieces of pepper, some things are going to be overcooked, some things are going to be undercooked. You want to make sure to make this nice and even.
Same thing as when you're cutting up for, say, a mirepoix. If you look back at some of the things we've taught you in previous weeks, you want to make sure that everything you're cooking and throwing in is roughly the same size so that it all cooks together. Otherwise, you'll be eating and you'll get a chunk of carrot that's not quite done, and then the onion will be burnt. And you really want to make sure everything's the same width, same everything, so that it cooks evenly.
And I want this. I don't want tiny little kebabs. I want bad kebabs.
Look at the way, for me, just the way the knife slides through it. It just gets you excited for deer season.
It does. It really does. So you can see the texture of this meat is just gorgeous. I'm going to keep working away here for a minute. And one of the things about making a marinade, I'm taking, so basically all I'm doing is I'm creating perfect little cubes. And anywhere where I have a piece of the meat that's potentially a little bit smaller, what I do is I just butterfly and double it up.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of like what we did with the black bear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold that open. Now, you'll have to forgive us. We're kind of working low here, so it's kind of a unique situation.
Don't be fooled by my chair, how I'm smaller than all these guys. I'm actually a little taller.
Yeah. So that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's cut just about that size, about 1 inch cubed. Careful not to drop that. That would be catastrophe. So we're going to put this in a bag. Now, one of the great things about a marinade is that it does a few things. It's going to take some things away, and it's going to add some things.
Another thing that I'm just thinking of as we go through this, you can see we just have a Ziploc bag here and we're cubing this. If you get your venison deer and you're butchering it, cube it like this. If you love kebabs and you say you go camping a lot, cube this right when you're butchering your deer and freeze it like this so that when you're ready to go, you can pull this right out of the freezer and be ready to go right when you want to go.
And doing it a pound at a time, so that you can always portion it. So I'm going to wash my hands real quick. If you want to swap out with your brother, and we will keep rolling here. Let's have a look at those white coals on that fire. That's exactly what the fire should look like. You should have a nice, consistent, white hot coal. That's going to give you a perfect, about 350 degrees right at the surface. And what that means is you'll have good, consistent cooking. I'm just going to turn this over. We went a little crazy with the chainsaw. We had a little bit of fun. Are you looking at this? Beautiful. So we are going to do now, the first thing I've got for this venison is I'm going to start with a liquid. So you could use beer, you could use some kind of a liquor, but what I've got is I've got pineapple juice. Now you can use fresh pineapple juice, but if you're backpacking or if you're hunting, a lot of times a small can like this is just perfect. So the acidity in pineapple juice is perfect for a quick marinade. It's going to add a little bit of sweetness, but that high acidity, now you know, if you think about the last time you had pineapple, it has that beautiful sweet bite, but you know that heavy acidity, that's what we're looking for there.
The smell's already coming out of there, man.
It smells amazing.
Or what you could do is just take some of that rum and that cider that we're going to make later and toss that in
You
there.
could. You absolutely could. Now, I like a little bit of heat, so I want to add some at this point. So I'm just going to put a pinch of crushed chili flakes in there. And then I want to get a little bit of citrus. Citrus has a beautiful way of brightening everything. And that's because the juice from the citrus and that beautiful, all you have to do, just take if you've never done it before, just take citrus, rub it in your hand. Oh man, as soon as you heat up those oils, they smell incredible. And now I wouldn't want to slice this into wedges because I need that acidity and I need that to get in there. So I'm just going to take and slices. That way it can get in there. Man, this smells so good already. So these are going to go in.
That's going to be so good, man.
And I got to get this.
You can do all of this ahead of time, guys. Like if you're going out to the campsite, you're going out to hunt camp, you can prep this, put it in the bag. The longer it sits in there, the more it's going to break down those tissues and all of that silver skin in that, and it's going to be even more tender. So prepare it before, put it in a bag, seal it up, toss it in your cooler with some ice. You're ready to go as soon as you get there.
And it's a simple recipe. Think about this. Take a lemon, a lime, take the can of juice with you, and literally just toss a few sprigs of fresh rosemary. And this is stuff, if you have the time, the foresight to grow this in your garden, this is you don't have to watch it. It's a broadleaf evergreen, it grows, it's a perennial, it'll grow simply. Now, what else do we want to put in here? I think we want to put one jalapeno.
Yep, some jalapeno in there. Get some more heat in there. Where's our, there, we'll tell you, want some of the salt in there?
Okay, so no salt.
Yep.
So that's the one thing we want to,
yeah,
it was a test, yeah. So no salt at this time. Of course, any salt, what's salt going to do at this time?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to start to cook it.
Yep.
So we don't want to start to cook it right now. This is a great thing about being outdoors too. Everything goes in the river. We've had red-tailed hawk, bald eagle. What else have we had here? Well,
yeah,
the deer, muskrat down here. We threw some shrimp in the river.
Yep.
It was gone the next morning.
Yep.
Anyway, So you can see here what the key is you don't need a lot of liquid, but what you want to do is get that air out, because you want the liquid to get around all of that beautiful meat. Now, what's going to happen? Couple things. First of all, the meat is going to absorb some of that acidity. Some of that acidity is going to begin to break down that meat. But the other thing that's going to happen is some of the blood is going to come out of that flesh. And what that means is that meat will be milder, more palatable. And let's face it, as hunters, we want everybody to enjoy it.
Yep. We want to enjoy this with our families. That's what hunting and, you know, getting outdoors is all about, is enjoying it with your family, getting your kids outdoors, getting them interested in it if they want to. Look at that.
All I would do, while I begin prepping some of the other vegetables, all I would do with this is literally just set that in the cooler. Why don't you toss that in the cooler? And so just for food safety, you want to make sure to keep that below 4 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to keep it like your refrigerator. Keep it cold so that it's food safe. It's okay for about 20 to 30 minutes as you're prepping it, but then make sure to keep it cold, keep it food safe. Okay?
Ready?
So, yeah, so the next thing, I'm going to start working on some of these kebabs.
Veggies, okay.
I think maybe what we should do is, maybe it's a good time for Bailey to start rolling on his. I'm going to get a little bit of work done while the boys start making that powerful trail mix.
Get started on the trail mix here. Hunting season is just about to start. It's always important to be prepared. Have a good snack. So you can see here, I've got 3 different kinds of nuts. I got some pecans, walnuts, and I got some sliced almonds too. What this? Cranberries, sun-dried cranberries.
Sun-dried cranberries.
Canberries. Say that 10 times fast. So all I'm gonna do is, I have this beautiful pan sitting here next to the fire. It's been heating up by those stones, just like I explained. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these 3 different kinds of nuts, and I'm just gonna toast them. So you have all these different kinds of nuts. It's got tons of protein in these nuts. If I can.
One of the things about all nuts, and these are raw, it's important to note that these are raw. So when you have raw nuts, there's nothing to really activate the flavor. As you know, think about roasted peanuts at a roadside stand. What you can do is you can buy these inexpensive raw nuts, and you can take your favorites, and you can use a simple pan. You don't need any oil in the pan. There's plenty of oils locked right into the nuts, and the heat will begin to activate it. It'll toast them. But one of the things you have to watch is that they do have varying smoke points, so they'll burn. Yeah. So when Bailey gets them in there, he's going to want to babysit a little bit and watch them.
Babysit it also. What I'm also going to do here is, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to toss in some seeds. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to toss in some flax seeds. Flax seeds are great because they're full of fiber, protein, but mostly omega-3s. If you ever see omega-3 rich eggs in the grocery store, and you wonder, what are they feeding these chickens to get this much omega-3 in the eggs? Flaxseed. That's what they're feeding them because they're so rich. The daily value for flaxseed is about 200 to 500 milligrams. 3 tablespoons of that has 3,000. So you can just imagine how much is in there. So all you're going to do is, I'm actually going to toss this right down on the flames. Get it toasted up real good. Another thing you can do is, if you like your trail mix a little sweeter, what you can do is you can take a spoonful of sugar and toss it right onto those nuts, and what you do is you start to caramelize the nuts. So it'll just add a little bit more sweetness, flavor to it. I like it just normal, like Dad said, a roadside stand with nuts. That's absolutely delicious. And the last thing you're going to want to do is you take this out with you, put it in a little plastic bag, and you're good to go.
So yeah, the key now is, and that's the thing about cast iron. Cast iron radiates heat beautifully. So once you get a layer in the bottom of the pan, you want to leave them alone for a minute. Now just let it go, and you'll begin to see that oil will start to smoke. What do you think? It's time to have a look at that drink. Let's talk a little bit about this kebab. So let me show you a few techniques here. First of all, one of the most frustrating things, and I know you've experienced this, every time you're making kebabs when you use a single skewer, if you use a single skewer and then try to turn them over, it's like everything is fighting against you. It's spinning. So this is the way we're going to lock it in place. First of all, I'm going to start with a nice jalapeno. Now you might think, well, that's going to be an insane amount of heat. One of the great things about roasting jalapenos is it mellows them. If you don't know this, chipotles are smoked jalapenos. So if you know that beautiful mild flavor that chipotles are, they're heat but they're sweet. When you roast these up, they're going to be just right. And I always put them at the bottom. That way, if somebody doesn't care for the heat, then they can always have leave it off at the end. Now these potatoes, these are Red Chieftain. They're red skin potatoes. I left them skin on. And the reason I did that is I really want that flavor from the skin. These I blanched. I just put them in a pot, the pot Bailey's got there. Yep. Put them beside the fire and just cook them till they're just knife tender. Listen, if you put potatoes raw, it'll never have the time to catch up. It'll never get cooked in time. The last thing is I've got some beautiful, these are just some baby eggplants. Now these eggplants, these are just like a very typical Italian eggplant, but these little guys, they're tiny, so it makes them really easy to use. Now if you had full size, you just do what I'm going to do with this zucchini and just simply slice it into uniform slices. This will allow you to cook it evenly. And again, keep in mind, you want everything to be roughly the same size because you want it all the same doneness. When that venison is done cooking, you want to make sure that these are evenly spaced. So I'm actually going to have to pull out some of that venison. And how's your power?
Good. If you guys actually want to take a look here, you can see how the nuts are starting to smoke. All that flavor is being released and starting to smoke here. So as you can see the smoke, you're also getting that flavor inside your trail mix. So you're going to be walking and each bite's going to be like a new and different taste. You can see as I roll it around here, you can see how those little seeds, you can be a little concerned when you put those in. You're like, oh, you won't be able to get them. But as you cook it, they'll start to attach to all the rest of the seeds. You'll be able to get all of that just in a single bite.
So just as a reminder, having a look at that tripod, keep in mind that as you're watching tonight, or even if you're watching afterwards, we give this away 1 week after. So we're going to be giving away last week's tripod and Dutch oven to a special guest tonight. And this will give away. All you have to do is like the broadcast, share the broadcast, and then tag a friend and tell us why you need this at your campsite this season.
I'm going to toss these cranberries on. I can't wait any longer.
Okay.
If I can reach them. Here we go. These are going in. Look at that. Now, I actually threw in a couple of almonds. You can see the difference between the almonds I just tossed on there and the roasted ones. They're a lot darker, but they also have a lot more flavors. Hot. So you can see there, taking that out to the trail with you is just going to be absolutely delicious. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Throw that in a plastic bag or anything, roll it up, put it tight in your pack, and you have a snack to go with you anywhere you go.
The important thing now, there's a couple things you can do. Seasoning it right now with a little bit of salt is going to be good. Keep in mind that one of the things you need when you're out there, especially with high physical activity, you don't want a lot of sugar because, of course, sugar will cause you to spike. But the salt is great, helps you retain and keep your that's lots. So it'll help you to keep all of the liquids in your body. It'll also help with your electrolytes, keep you well balanced when you're out there. So that looks amazing. What I would do is I would just finish toasting that up a little bit. And you know what? I think it's time for Dakota's drink. What do you think?
I think so too.
I'm going to keep working away on this. Let's show a couple more techniques here. So one of the things I want to do is to simplify the peppers. Just simply take the pepper and why struggle with it? It's four-sided. We'll just slice down those sides. Makes it so simple. Allows me to get perfect little kebab-sized pieces and with almost no waste at all. If you're just joining us, I am working on a fire-roasted venison kebab. I'm also going to come up at the end of the show. We're going to be working on a cast iron peach cobbler. So peach cobbler made right in these cast iron pans. The difference is we're going to be using a cornbread topping instead of a traditional topping. But what Dakota has for you right now is an incredible drink made fireside. And you know, it's nice to take the time when you're camping and after the hunt's done, obviously for alcoholic beverages, it's nice to take the time to make something special, especially if you're celebrating a great hunt. Check out what Dakota's got.
All right, guys, like you said, when it comes to you're getting back to your campsite after a hard day of fishing, hiking, whatever it is, or you spent all day in the woods hunting, this is what you're going to want to serve your guests. We always want to serve lots of people, so I'm going to show you a way to spice up your rum really nicely. We're going to start, you'll see here we got some allspice berries. These are all whole star anise. That's going to bring some gorgeous licorice flavor. And some whole cloves. That, if you've ever had a toothache or you get a tooth pulled, pop this in the back of your mouth and put it right on there. It'll go numb in a minute. Okay, come over here. We've been heating up this cast iron here in the fire. I'm gonna grab this out. And these are just a few simple things, guys, that you can take to camp with you. And let me tell you, it's gonna be worth it because your guests are gonna be coming to your campsite again and again. All right.
Got some ice for you here.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a second.
Yep.
So I'm going to head back. Now, imagine if you could, hanging on to this marinade for a couple hours. But you want to know what? I got to show you what these look like cooked. So I got to get back and start finishing these kebabs.
All right, so we got our star anise in there. We're going to go with our allspice berries. Now, this is hot, and it's going to start to cook it, but we're going to toss it back onto the fire just to heat it up a little bit more. Those oils from all of those berries are going to start to infuse and toast. If you toss these in the drink now, they wouldn't be as flavorful as if we heat them up. And this little cast iron is going to act like a little oven. So you'll see that in a second. It won't take long either. The oils start to come out of those. And if you leave it in there too long, like we did earlier, it will catch on fire.
Yeah, it will light up your life in a very different way.
All right, we're going to toss those on. And one other interesting thing that we're going to do is I've got some red wine barrel chunks here. If you take a look, these are from a barrel. And we're going to actually light these on fire and toast them up. And then we're going to toss these in, hot and all. There's a whole one there for you. And we're going to put the lid on and we're going to smoke that liquor. So you're going to get that wine barrel flavor right in there. And we're going to do two versions of this. You can do this hot or cold. So whether you're hunting in the fall or winter and it's cold outside, you want to come back, warm up, we're going to show you a warm way to do it. Or the way to do it in the summer is just pour it over ice and it's going to cool it down. Let's check on those spices there.
You see that bed of hot coals, like Dad said, getting that fire started early, getting a nice bed of coals, so you're not dealing with flames that have actually cooked it.
Flame is your enemy when you come to cooking, guys. Look at that smoke pouring out. It's so hot, but we don't have flames licking ourselves, burning our arms, you know. We're gonna get those nice and hot, move them around just a little bit longer there. How's it coming? Those look incredible.
So it's a very simple preparation, but keep in mind the technique for tonight is really focusing on the fact that we want to make sure that the venison is palatable to all. And so that marinade is going to do, again, it's going to infuse flavor, but it's also going to get rid of some of the blood, and that's where a lot of that so-called gaminess is locked in. You can get that out when it's fresh, so if this is just newly harvested whitetail, or if you've just pulled it out of the freezer like we did today. If your freezer's full, doing kebabs is a great way to make, let me tell you something, the people at your next backyard, they will never know that this isn't beef. The quality of venison in North America is absolutely spectacular. I'm just going to keep working away on this. How's your spices coming there?
Look at this here, guys. These are starting to smoke up. Can you smell that?
I can. It smells.
Oh man, they're coming to life in there.
Star anise has to be my favorite.
Oh, and that star anise that he's talking about is that licorice flavor. That licorice flavor in a lot of drinks is just incredible. One of the highest notes you've seen us do before with our absinthe drinks, right? Like, they're incredible, that licorice flavor. We're just going to let that toast for just a little bit longer here. Yeah, we'll just work these coals in around that cast iron. It's just going to start to bake those. Take a look at your trail mix here, man. This looks good, man.
It's starting to look good, eh?
Let's toast it up nice. It's something, you know, one of the things we've done with that too, Dakota, is we made a real simple dough.
Yep.
And we used the trail mix as a
Oh,
topping.
yeah, our trail mix focaccia.
Yeah, tell them they can find that recipe.
Yeah. If you go on our YouTube there, you'll see a recipe for trail mix focaccia. And so focaccia is just a simple bread, extremely easy to make in the backcountry. We were actually 3 days in to the middle of Algonquin Park, which is a great park here in Ontario, and we made trail mix focaccia. We had a little bit of ice wine to go along with it, man. It was incredible. But yeah, check out that recipe, guys. That's one that's easy to make on the trail, and once again, it's going to give you a ton of energy. Lots, you know, it's going to fill your gut and give you lots of energy to keep hiking down those trails. But that, what we did, fresh dough, Spread that trail mix on top, baked it right over the fire. Of course, that smoky flavor getting into the dough. It was incredible.
Speaking of does, we saw a lot of does this week.
Oh, yeah.
So we put our trail cameras up. If you go back and see our live, you'll see that we had put them up and not 48 hours later.
Yep.
We had over 60 films, over 60 clips. I think maybe now would be a great time. What do you think? You want to show them now?
Yeah.
How'd you like to see some of the video now? There's some beautiful does. The color of these right now, this time of year, honestly, it's what makes you respect this animal so much, and it's what makes it so coveted. And you'll see the felt on these big boys. How we doing there, Cody? Ready to cue that up? All right, have a look at this in just a second. And while you're going away, I'll show you. I'm just finishing up some of these. So this is 2 now done. And while you have a look at some of this trail cam footage, I'm going to finish up the very last one. Look at that. All right, so you can see there's so much to be excited about. You know, if it's not the pursuit, then I don't know what it is. When I started hunting whitetail about 18 months ago, I never in my dreams expected to be able to have the kind of excitement and the challenge. And let me tell you, if you're just a new hunter, I've got my Bowtech Rain 7 Bay. You want to grab it? Oh, I can grab it right here. So this is the bow that I took my first whitetail with on this very farm. So this bow for me was, it was right out of the box. It was so tunable, and for me in particular, being a new hunter, being new to archery, what I was able to do is I was able to correct the arrow flight. I was able to really dial it in for my own needs. Now, this is the same bow that I'm taking north with me this fall. We're going for moose, we're going for black bear, we're going to be hunting whitetail on this very farm with the Rain 7. There's something very special that happens when you hunt with a bow. Archery hunting, for me, puts me in a contact with whatever subject that I'm hunting in a way that nothing else does. It feels like in that moment, it feels like you are connected with that animal. And for me, it's all about respect, and it's all about this heritage, and I absolutely love it. How's your spices coming
Okay,
along?
we're ready to go here, guys. Bay's gonna grab the camera here.
Now, I'm gonna steal your thunder for 2 seconds here. Because I want to talk to you just briefly, can you hold there for 2 seconds? Okay, you're good. So we've talked about Bailey's got this powerful protein mix, great for the trail, great for taking packing out. If you're going elk hunting, you need something to eat quickly. You know, you're not going to sit down and make an elaborate meal. That's going to be perfect for you. Protein, it's going to be nutrients. Then these kebabs, have a look at this. I'm just going to season these. Now we taught it this beautiful herb salt a few weeks ago. Go back and watch one of our previous broadcasts. I'm trying to remember which one that was. Do you guys know? The herb salt?
It was the fish.
Okay, so it's when we were doing beer battered pickerel. Check that one out. This salt is absolutely beautiful. So the herb salt, and then we've got all the other ingredients. These are ready to go onto the grill. All I'm going to do, I'm going to create a little bit of fire there, bud.
Yep.
So I'm just going to literally put a little bit of oil on there. The excess will come right off. But what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm going to put those seasoned side down.
Oh man.
I'm going to make sure to coat that. I don't want that to stick. This is making me happy already. You know, it's bright, it's colorful,
And it's easy.
and it's easy.
Each of your guests just gets a kebab in a way. This is enough for a meal.
Well, and so this is one of the things I got to show you. So when you do need to turn it, watch this. Complete control. I don't want to say that that's like smoking genius, but it sure does feel like it. So now it's important to season both sides. Those are some, big proteins, lots of veggies.
Gonna get that smoke flavor in there.
Yep, we're going to get them all smoked up, all cooked up.
Some of that
So
salt cracking.
I love that. Okay, so good.
Yeah.
Back to the drink. It's all yours.
So guys, I pulled this out of the fire. I'm gonna show you here. Look at this. Those spices and look at that smoke. They're all toasted. If you could smell this right now, you'd know that these are ready to go. Come on over here. Now, you've heard heating up alcohol, burning it off is gonna get rid of the alcohol. That's only if you light it on fire. If you heat it up, think of a hot toddy or something like that, you're not gonna get rid of the alcohol.
Mulled wine, mulled cider, all the alcohol value is still there, so you're going to get that beautiful kick. But the nice thing is, like with rum, the way that it's aged, it's just a concentration of that
just
flavor.
gonna pick up all these flavors. You'll see here, watch, we're gonna toss this right in. You can hear it sizzle. That pan is still piping hot. That's what's great about cast iron, is it holds its heat. And you just want to let that mull in there for a minute. And what we're actually going to do, I'm going to go over. I left one of those wine barrel chunks in the fire. We're going to blow that out. You can see that smoke. We're going to toss this right in the side here. Look at that smoke, and we're going to cover, oh, that's hot. We're going to cover that right up. And that's just going to engulf all that liquid in there. That smoke is just going to encompass around that alcohol, and you're going to taste all that red wine flavor. And then, like I said, we're going to do a hot one and a cold one. So what you do, leave it hot if you want it hot, or put it back over the fire with lots of spices, and you just leave it on there all night, man. Then you just keep dipping, take a ladle, keep pouring it in your cup, and away you go. Let's take a look. We'll fast track this a little bit. Oh, yeah. Look at that smoke. That smoky flavor is going to be in there, delicious. And what we're going to do is add some apple cider here. So we're going to take a tin cup here. And we're going to strain this out here, guys, because you want to get those berries out. You want that liquid to be clean. There we go. Oh, yeah. If you could smell this rum infused. You got star anise in there, cloves, allspice berries.
Smells incredible.
Look at that.
I smell this.
So that liquid, that's just straight up alcohol. So all you can imagine, that'll make you 3 or 4 drinks. Gonna grab some ice here. And like I said, you can just do a big pot of this if you want. If you got a big group of people, toss some ice in there. Pour some of that alcohol in there. Just a little bit. Apple cider to top it up. And it looks simple, but let me tell you, it tastes incredible. You want to be the first to try this, or do I get to try one first?
I'll come.
For once? For once. Oh, man. Come on. You serve that at your campsite this summer, man.
I have to listen. I gotta change this up. You have to shoot this sunset in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, are you looking what I'm? This is what I'm looking at. Look at this gorgeous sunset. These oaks as tall as can be, and this fine drink.
Smoky rum cider, man. Taste that.
Oh man,
Come
you really
on.
get that.
Oh, yeah.
The oak, eh?
Yep. You may not think it, but that smoke flavor goes right into that liquid. When you let it smoke in there and engulf inside that cast iron, you get it. It may seem like a really kind of step that isn't needed. Try it. It's needed. Trust me.
Listen, I'll tell you what. Outdoors folks, we get a bit of a reputation. Well, we're gonna. I think we're stepping this. We have a great acuity for the finest things in life. We know what matters.
Yep.
We take the time to do the things that we're passionate about, and taking these ingredients for you and taking them to the next level is all about a level of rustic sophistication. I like to call it it's like a dirt road sophistication.
It's respect for the ingredients too. Like the same way we respect this venison by harvesting it and eating it ourselves, we respect every single one of these ingredients that we have. Like we said, always building flavors. You can add simple things, but each little step that you take is just going to make that final product taste even better. Like this drink. You could take those, let them sit in that liquid and just mull overnight, or smoke them over an open fire, getting fireside taste in them, pour the liquid in, heat it up, get all those oils into it. Taking all of those steps is going to amaze your guests.
So this is one of the things that I like to do with the tripod, why I really like the tripod. And what I've done is I've rigged it up with some really inexpensive black chain. Is you can just suspend something like this. The heat is able to go through, but then I just wound it up a little bit. And it's just like the perfect way to evenly heat. If you've got any hot spots, it'll kind of look after you, and then it just spins back.
Keeps going.
It's perfectly active, and the whole time is just cooking that to perfection. Now, we've got a pretty good flame going there right now, but what you want to do, again, you want to make sure, and that's one of the things when I started to share with you why we build the rock base. So first of all, it looks fantastic. It's a great place. It's a great way to protect the fire. If you're in really dry areas, be very careful about wood fires, obviously. But a wood or a rock center like this, and as Bailey said, putting rocks in the bottom, they're going to radiate. They're going to capture the heat, and they're going to radiate it. The other thing is the rocks are on the outside. They're going to give you that kind of oven effect, and that's what you really want.
Those look incredible.
They look great, eh? Oh, it's coming nicely. So we're going to keep cooking away there. And now I'm going to start with this peach cobbler.
Yep. I love peaches.
This peach pit has seen better days. I think I'm just going to start with another one here.
Yeah, the Georgia peach is looking incredible.
Well, and this one was just a little overripe. You want to make sure the thing about peaches, nectarines, plums, whatever you use for this dish, you want to make sure that they are really ripe. I always tell people, ripe to the point of almost too ripe. Keep in mind that it doesn't really, the texture of it is going to change dramatically because of course you're roasting it. But one of the things about having super ripe fruit is it's going to be as sweet as it possibly can. If you think about something like wine, you would never harvest grapes earlier than 100 days because they don't develop the sugar. And when you get these, a lot of times the fruits are trucked in. You want to make sure that they're as ripe as they possibly can be.
Overripe fruits too, like I take a banana for example, sometimes the banana will get that brown spot or something like that, but there's actually been studies done that when the banana's overripe like that, there's something in it that activates, that can actually help with certain sicknesses and stuff like that. And all these overripe fruits that people just toss away, first of all have different flavors, but also something happens in nature that it just changes it completely.
So have a look at this. What I need you to do is grab me that same spoon that you had. So we've got, this is what I love about this. Now I wouldn't dare add any sugar at this point. Literally I put a little bit of oil in the bottom of that pan. Now these are hot already, so we're just going to leave that like this. And then I'm going to do a couple more here. And what I'll do, babe, if you want to switch out with Code, I'm going to start, Code, if you can come prep these. And prep 2 more for me, same way. We're cutting them by 8, so these are pretty big peaches. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to assemble the cornbread topping. So that cornbread topping is going to be able to flow all the way around those peaches.
Right.
So if you just get those prepped, and we'll get started with this cornmeal recipe.
I want to tell you guys a little bit. We've heard you asking in the previous weeks about all of these products that we use, larchwood cutting boards, knives, all of the tools that we use. Coming to you soon on our Facebook page, we're going to be bringing those products to you. You'll be able to find them on our Facebook page, able to buy them right there, right? Lots of exciting products, eh?
So, yeah, absolutely. So 1 cup of cornmeal, and then I've got all-purpose flour. So it's about a cup and a quarter. And Code, if you want to do me a favor, could you grab me a whisk? Now, when you're making cornbread, or frankly, when you're baking anything, one of the things that's really important is to make sure to incorporate all of the dry ingredients and all of the wet ingredients separately. And there's a really good reason for that. And that is that once you put in the wet ingredients, what happens is that you'll get pockets. So I've got baking powder and baking soda here, and I want to make sure that they're evenly incorporated in all of that. So I got about baking soda, put a little teaspoon in here, about that much. Perfect.
I think this pairing is going to be so good with the peaches.
Yeah, so just have a look. So what happens is, because you're using cast iron, the cast iron radiates the heat so well, it holds the heat so well. I'm already beginning to cook in there.
Those kebabs look amazing.
Yeah, are they ready to turn? Let's have a look.
Look at that color starting to develop
Turn
on there.
those babies.
Oh yeah, those are good,
The
man.
nice thing about this, guys, you'll see these tomatoes are whole. If you can find some smaller tomatoes, these are salad tomatoes, they don't fall apart on the sticks there. If you take and you cut tomatoes in half, those are just going to fall apart. All that liquid's going to fall out into the bottom of your fire, and you're going to be left with a burnt, skinless tomato.
Okay, so this cornbread, I think my grandmother would be really proud. Grandma, I know you're watching. So she was her mom came from Cubbage, Kentucky. So I've got some Kentucky roots, and cornbread seems to like every time there's
nothing
cornbread
like it,
and grits. Every time I'm driving through the South, I get into some cornbread and grits. So anyway, back to this. So we're doing this as a topping for peach cobbler. So the first thing here, you can see, I'm going to bring it together using a whisk, because what the whisk does, you can see as I pass it through, is it starts to mix it together really well. So all the dry ingredients first, and I'm just going to take my time here. What's that saying again? Slow is
Smooth and
smooth is fast. And never more true than in the kitchen, because this is a time you don't want to rush it.
This is something we always make at camp too. When you come back from a long day of doing whatever, there's nothing like cornbread in your belly. It goes with everything, whether it's beans, whether it's kebabs, or whether it's peach cobbler. It goes with literally anything.
So it's a perfect mop. Now the one thing I want to do, see, I've got this butter sitting right here. And all I want to do is I just want maybe, here, I'll give you this. I don't want a lot, okay? It's hot. But I just want maybe a tablespoon right over top of that.
Yep.
So I've got the oil in there, which is going to keep the smoke point high so it won't burn. Now I want to add a little bit of flavor. We're going to base those with a little bit of butter. Just a little bit of butter.
I like
and
lots of
butter
butter.
is going to make them taste so good. Now, if we just, we got a question, Ryan. Jessica, how you doing, sweetheart? It's nice to see you again. Thank you for watching. We have got, so first of all, we've got venison kebabs. So this is fire roasted. So we're doing this with some beautiful smoke. And Dakota?
Yep, and we did a smoky rum cider. And Jessica, I know you're going to love this one. You're going to have to go back and watch it again later. Smoky rum cider. We toasted spices, poured hot liquor over top of it, added some apple cider. It was incredible, man.
And then grab Bailey's trail mix there. I think the pan's right behind me. So going into this cornbread, so I've got the peaches going there. Now this is already hot. So what I started to say is we want to start to develop flavor in there. So I'm going to go with 2 eggs. I got some nice
Then we did, Bailey did this gorgeous trail mix. Look at this. This is if you're going in the woods, taking your kids for a hike. This is what you need to feed them right there. That's going to give them lots of energy, which I know parents are going to dread, but they need it, guys.
It's brain food. It's brain food. Then we've got, and what I've got going here, Jess, is a cornbread. Now, if you watched last week, you saw me make this recipe, but we're gonna treat it differently this week. This is buttermilk. Look at that beautiful buttermilk. Got a couple flax seeds in there. Oh my God! Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
Add
the
some
flag.
fiber.
No, that's right.
Did
We
you try these peaches
we
yet?
get our omega-3s here, man.
Did you try these yet?
Huh?
Did you try those peaches yet?
No, are they good?
They're delicious,
You
man.
dip one in that drink.
Reminds me of Georgia.
Oh man,
Those are perfectly
Stick
right.
one of those in the drink, man. Those would be good.
And corn oil.
Georgia's got a soft spot in my heart, guys. I got married on top of a 175-foot lighthouse there, and let me tell you, it was incredible. A big shout out to my wife. I love you girls, and let me tell you, when I hear Georgia, it takes me right back, guys.
Takes me back too. It was
Oh, yeah.
175 feet and 175 degrees. It was so
It was
hot.
hot, 100% humidity. July in Georgia, all you people from Georgia, you know what July in Georgia is like.
You
man.
spent most of the time in the water. Yes, dear. Yeah, so great question. We're talking about always on the fire. It's got to be a hardwood. This in particular, there's this gorgeous walnut that came down on the farm. So we've cut up this walnut.
Yep.
Burns hot. The smoke is nice. But Dakota, show those wine barrel chips. So this is where we're getting that beautiful smoke from.
So the smoke is coming from these red, so you just go to, and you can get these, this is from a wine barrel, obviously red wine, and all that oak cask. Wine barrels can be in circulation for up to, 15, 20 years. So who knows how long this one was in circulation.
Maybe there was wine in it, maybe there was Jack in it, maybe
There
there was rum in it.
could be anything
No
in it.
matter what, it's going to be good on the fire.
Toss
I need
that on.
I need that butter.
Yep, that smoke is going to just come out of that like crazy, and anything that was in it is also going to go into your dish.
So I got some this butter now that we just melted on the fireside. Butter's going in. This, man, I'll tell you, this looks so good already.
Oh.
And then my favorite part, this is so it's a local clover honey. I'm always talking about honey. Honey's so good for you, good for allergies. It's good for energy, 10 times sweeter than sugar. Honey in. I'd like to add more, but I'll cut that off.
10
you
times
can-
sweeter than sugar.
And yeah, and you can go with a darker honey if you want. Buckwheat honey is incredible as well. We got local buckwheat honey that's just as incredible, guys.
Yeah, buckwheat honey though, it's a kick in the pants.
Yeah, it's,
but it's good.
it's intense. I was just about to say.
Yeah, it's intense. It's dark.
Let me get
It's
your
like
flip on that.
molasses.
Oh,
You got a thing
Look
against
at those
molasses?
kebabs,
I got
guys.
nothing against molasses.
You're Canadian, dude.
Listen, I'll tell you something. The thing about cooking fireside is the best part is you want to make sure you've got some chairs around because you're gonna have people who are gonna congregate around
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And it's all the cooking time, generally speaking, is going to be increased by anywhere from 50 to 100%. We did some rotisserie chicken. You heard Bailey
yeah.
say rotisserie chicken, which normally takes about an hour, took us a couple hours to finish. Takes a little bit longer, but let me tell you,
It was the juiciest chicken I ever ate.
best, and then the flavor. That's the key. There's nothing like we've worked our way out of the Stone Age
Yep.
into this stainless steel sanitized nonsense where nothing tastes good anymore. Cook over an open fire every time you get a chance. What you're going to get is a ton of flavor. And if you're a hunter, you're going to find a pure joy. When you harvest and kill whether it's elk or moose, whitetail, antelope.
Chances are you're going to find yourself fireside.
Exactly. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to want to take a bunch of it home like we
Yep.
do. But like you
There's-
cannot, you have to, the
Yep.
first thing you want to do, you want to get it fireside.
Yep.
So if we're doing a little recap here, I'm going to give you this to mix while I do a
Yep.
recap. Cornbread recap brought to you by the Corn Growers of America. No, kidding. What you have to do, you have to start with a good fire, a good hot fire. A good couple hours ahead of time is best. Use hardwood. Start with small sticks. Don't use any chemical incendiaries. Just use a little bit of dry grass or a little bit of bark. Birch bark, if you got it, works great. We have a couple videos on fire starting. Build yourself a fire pit. For the few minutes it takes to find the rocks, if you go to the bed of a river or along the riverbed, look at that.
Look at that consistency, guys.
You will find rocks. Build your bait. Show them exactly the structure of that rock, of that fire pit. That is a perfect fire pit. We've got the base layered in rocks. That's going to radiate the heat. We've got it surrounded in rocks, which is going to block some of the wind. And you can see that beautiful smoke rolling right over top is going to fill everything. So now we've got
Ready.
time to put them in. Okay.
Yep.
So let's get a close-up on this, because this,
You want a scoop?
I'm going to use this. I got a spoon here. I'm going to use this
Okay.
spoon. Ooh.
Don't fall back.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? It's a long way down. So we're literally going to take, and we're going to start spooning this on top. Now keep in mind, this has enough oil in it that it's not going to stick. You want to make sure to not to pop it over top. And you don't want too much bread on top of it. You want a nice balance of the peaches to that beautiful cornbread finish. I'm really just going to take my time here, spoon it on, and move to the next one. Now you saw how easy it was for me to pull this batter together. Just a few simple ingredients, and I have a perfect topping. Now, you don't like peaches. How about nectarines?
Oh, yeah.
You don't like nectarines?
Apples.
How about apples? How about plums? What about something? Oh, pears are going to be coming in soon.
Yep.
This topping could go on top of anything. Anything that's going to be sweet when it's caramelized. Look at this. So if you are by chance just joining us, we've had a great time now. We've had requests to do a dessert. What I'm doing right now is a cast iron peach cornbread cobbler. Yes, you heard it right. Cornbread cobbler. We're reinventing the cobbler. There are people in Georgia right now who are turning over going, that's not how you make cobbler. Well, that's how we're making it tonight. It's a great way to enjoy it. Now, here's the key. So we've got to get some, we've got to heat from the sides of the pan, but now we've got to get it down inside that oven we've created.
Another important thing for me about cooking is, you can spend a long time making the same thing over and over and over again. Try something new. Like we said, you always make cornbread, you always make peach cobbler. Put them together. You never know how something's going to turn. That's how some of the best ideas are made, just by messing up and being like, hey, that kind of tastes good.
Look at how much water that heat has already rendered. It's starting to cook down. Now that's the beautiful thing about using cast iron, is that all of that peach juice, think about concentrated sweet peach juice. That is going to be just beautiful. Now, the only thing that I'll have to do for those is I will have to turn them. So we're going to get a ton of heat from this one side, so I will have to spin those around. Let's have a look at our kebabs here. So you can see that one of the things we were really focused on tonight is to make absolutely certain that everything was roughly the same size. And what that does is, when you're enjoying the kebab, everything is cooked, everything is the same temperature.
Yeah, those jalapenos is what I'm looking for. I love a little bit of heat in my food, and those look amazing.
They look amazing. I'm going to turn this over, and then you know what? I'm going to show you one of these. I'm kind of proud of the fact. Here we go. I'm kind of proud of this little rig we've got going here. So now, Dakota, let's show them how fast. Now, having those rocks in the bottom, this is how fast it starts to cook. So that's going to puff up. It's going to start to cook, and that's absolutely beautiful. Now, you just want to make sure you don't put your cobbler underneath your venison, because then you're going to have venison cobbler. So up here, generally,
like I said, some of the best dishes are made from mistake. Maybe venison cobbler or something. Okay?
So up here, generally, it's cool, so you can handle this. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring this down. I want to caramelize these up now. I'm able to drop the whole thing down. I can show you that one more time. I'm able to take it from whatever height. So let's say that fire gets a little hot. I can bring it up. Or if I want to get down, I got those beautiful gnarly white coals, and I want to make sure to get nice crisp crust on all of those veggies. There we go. Now we're right in the middle of that heat again.
And just to point this out, tonight we're giving away another one of these tripods and this awesome dish you see us cooking on right here. Only thing you got to do is like this post, share it, and comment. Tell us why you want this tripod and where you're going to use it. Honestly, guys, it's amazing, this thing.
So this is the perfect campsite, dinner. You've got kebabs. It allows you to use that venison. Your freezer's full, and now you got a chance to use it. Or with the upcoming whitetail season, now you've got something that you can put in the back of your mind. You can grab some mushrooms and tomatoes and zucchini and take a few of these things with you. The other thing we've got, because we had that request for desserts, we've got this beautiful cobbler. Then let's have a look at that drink. That beautiful drink.
I haven't tried it yet.
No.
I love doing this to our American viewers. It's just so you know, I'm only 19 years old, and perfectly and legally I can go like this here in Canada.
So beautiful drink. So it's that smoky rum cider. Dakota
good,
put
man.
together star anise and the allspice berries, and you use cloves as well.
See right here, you got some left.
And then let's have a look one last time
Oh yeah.
at this. This is cooled down nicely
I
now.
want to try it now that it's cooled down.
So what happens here is some of those beautiful sugars from the sun-dried cranberries. It comes together nicely, but you don't have that raw taste and texture of the nuts. You've got it beautifully toasted, perfect to go backpacking, to go elk hunting. We'll tell Randy Newberg's coming up next at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on the Bowtech Network. Randy, you would absolutely love this when you went elk hunting. Something you can take with you to give you a kick when you need it.
Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, like I said too, it's so hard to find a good trail mix. The balance between berries and nuts and whatever else they put in it, who knows, sugars, everything. If you make your own, like I put in these sun-dried cranberries, and just like you have the roasted nuts, which is great, but then you have this pop of flavor, sweet almost, that isn't filled with sugar or anything. It's just good old-fashioned cranberries, and it tastes amazing.
So
try it.
we've been rolling here for a good hour. We've had a great time. This Riverside location is just incredible. Dakota, I don't know if you want to get that sun peeking through there or not, but share the sunset with us. It's absolutely beautiful. You can see that corn is a mile high. Life is good here, and we love this opportunity to share hunting, to share cooking, and to share family and all the experiences. Couple little things for housekeeping. Just a reminder to like and share to win this. Now keep in mind, we don't make this decision until a week from now. Whoever won last week will be notifying you right after this broadcast. This is something that you can win. We'd love to see you have this at your campsite this hunting season, this summer. Take a minute, go over to our Facebook page at The Outdoor Chef if you're not watching there. Like it, share it. We've got lots of recipes. We've got a recipe book coming out this fall, and the boys and I have all kinds of incredible products. We've got knives and cast iron and butcher blocks and all kinds of this cool stuff that you see here.
Bracelets, t-shirts,
Leather, all kinds of neat stuff. And then go over to Fear Outdoors Less. That's on Facebook as well. And that's our other show. And by the way, take the time to go, if you haven't yet, and go check out My Outdoor TV. My Outdoor TV is a place we call home. It's where you can see we've got about 25 recipes from the Outdoor Chef there. We've got a couple dozen coming up for September 1st that are going up. We'd love for you to check it out. If you do go over there, use the promo code Collins. That's COLLINS. That's our last name. If you use that promo code, you'll get 1 month for 99 cents. So enjoy a month on us. I guarantee if you check it out, you'll stay on because you'll see all of your favorite hunters and anglers and outdoors people there, and you'll absolutely love it.
Be careful not to binge watch too much. I said a couple weeks ago, my dreams started to be narrated by Jim Shock.
Yeah, it happens. So for Dakota and for Bailey and myself, we want to thank you for watching. As always, the Surefire Wednesday broadcast is all about you. We appreciate your time. We love coming to you. We'd love to hear what you want us to cook for you. That's where some of the best ideas come from. So until next week at 7 p.m. Eastern, I don't know where we're going to be, but it's going to be exciting, and we'll have some great recipes. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week, everybody. We're going to eat this now.
And look at this beautiful spice rub. I'm going to gently lay this down inside the pan, sauteing it so that both sides are nice and golden brown. And then I'll pop it in the oven to finish it up.
You'll notice I haven't used any eggs or breadcrumbs. The proteins will naturally bind when cooked. I'm gonna keep this seasoning simple. Just a little bit of salt, some pepper. Simple. I wanna taste this elk. I don't wanna hide any of the flavors, I wanna taste it. I put all that work into getting it, I don't wanna hide those flavors. I wanna taste it.
Incredible finish. Is there anything simpler than cooking in one pan? Whole roasting this line-caught wild trout with all of these vegetables, for me, is the most perfect way to honor this incredible fish.
This is my first black bear. We're here hunting on public land, and let me tell you, this is a night I'm never gonna forget. What the old timers taught me, it came true tonight, and we got this beautiful, beautiful black bear.